So in this video, I'm going to analyse Manchester United's central midfield issues both in and out of possession, what type of player Van De Beek is and his best role, Van De Beek in central midfield, would he solve Manchester United's issues, and I'll give some examples of players who did make the adjustment moving further back into midfield and how successful they were at doing that. But for cheap good quality football jerseys, retro jerseys and tracksuits, go over to www.jerseyfifa.com, a link will be left in the description below, and use code ATLANTISFOOTBALL for 5% off. So Manchester United's midfield issues come both in and out of possession. Out of possession, United are vulnerable to a counter-attack when there is a turnover in the opposition's half. This is because with Fred and either Pogba or McTominay next to him in a deep double pivot, United are easily bypassed by dribbles through the centre of the field. With Fred and Pogba being weak one-on-one defenders, particularly when defending in big spaces, which does occur when they are left isolated in the centre of midfield. Examples of teams and players who exposed them just this season were Adama Traore and Wolves, who was able to repeatedly pick up the ball, turn the man tight to him and drive through Fred and Pogba, and then drive at the United backline as well, with Alan St-Maximin in the game against Newcastle doing the same thing. In possession, United often lack creativity from deep central midfield positions, especially when both Fred and McTominay play together there. Both these two players are good circulators of the ball, but aren't able to unlock deep defensive blocks with incisive passes forward into players between the lines. Pogba does have a better passing range and vision than McTominay, but even he can be guilty of not circulating possession quickly enough in the middle third and instead taking too many touches and time on the ball, which contributes to United's lack of penetration, as the slow tempo and lack of ball shifting from side to side makes it easy for the opposition team to sit deep and cut the passing lanes, with games against Newcastle in the first half, Wolves and Southampton all great examples of this. So United's two main issues in central midfield are their vulnerability with quick counter-attacks through the centre of their midfield after a turnover, which would be solved by a player who was a good one-on-one defender in big spaces and had great athleticism and pressing ability, whilst also having the reading of the game that you would expect from a top-level central midfielder. But they do also need a player who can circulate the ball quickly, increasing the speed of the build-up, whilst also creating from deep positions. But before we discuss whether Van De Beek solves any of these problems, let's analyse the type of player he actually is. Now, when he was signed last summer, it seemed like a lot of people didn't actually watch Van De Beek play at Ajax and just assumed his style and role based on what United needed. So people were calling for Van De Beek to start ahead of Pogba, McTominay or Fred in the midfield double pivot, but Van De Beek's best role for Ajax was more in an advanced position, playing as a centrally advanced midfield ahead of Schöne and De Jong. This position is obviously taken up by Bruno Fernandes in Solskjaer's 4-2-3-1, and whilst Van De Beek and Bruno do have a lot of similarities, they have major differences. Bruno Fernandes is a playmaker, whose primary job is to create chances for others, while Van De Beek is much more of a second striker, a player who won't record the elite level chance creating metrics, but his interplay and movement and finishing in the box are his best attributes, and we can see this if we compare the two statistically. So if we look at Donny Van De Beek's FBref report over the last 365 days, in which he's played just under 1,000 minutes, we can see that for his creative metrics like expected assists and shot creating actions, he ranks very low, only in the 30th and 12th percentile respectively, and also ranks pretty low for his goal scoring metrics such as non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG and non-penalty XG plus expected assists are all in the 12th percentile or lower. Van De Beek does rank highly for defensive metrics like tackles, interceptions and clearances, as well as pass completion and passes completed, which while still impressive, these metrics are very much secondary or even third level statistics for creative attackers. However, when we look at Bruno Fernandes' FBref report, over the last 365 days, we can see that he absolutely smashes it, recording a 90th percentile or higher for shots per 90, assists, expected assists, non-penalty XG plus expected assists, shot creating actions, passes attempted, progressive passes and pressures, whilst also ranking in the 85th percentile for non-penalty goals when compared to every other attacking midfielder and winger in Europe's top 5 leagues, and we can see that Bruno Fernandes overperforms his non-penalty XG by around 0.08 per 90. What both of these players' FBref reports show is that Bruno Fernandes is an elite attacking midfielder, whilst Van De Beek just objectively is not at the same level or even close. Now, a lot of die-hard Van De Beek supporters will say that Van De Beek's numbers are only low because Oli doesn't give him enough game time in his best role. However, even when we look back at his statistics in the Eredivisie, we can see he's not an elite creator. Whilst Hakim Ziyech topped the key pass table in 2019-20 with 4.3 key passes per 90, Van De Beek Beek ranked in 30th out of every player in the league with 1.9 per 90, and the season before in 2018-2019, Van de Beek ranked in 49th place out of every player in the league with just 1.5 key passes per 90, so the revisionism that many fans have claiming that Van de Beek is a creative attacking midfielder like Bruno Fernandes or Pogba is just objectively wrong if you care about statistics at all. What Van de Beek is a young Thomas Müller type of attacking midfielder before he developed his elite chance creating ability. Müller from around 2010 to 2016 was a player who almost was a polar opposite to a traditional number 10 like Mesut Ozil. He didn't play crazy defense splitting passes, instead it was his quick one touch interplay, pass selection around the box and movement into goal scoring positions which made him so good, and that's exactly the same with Van de Beek. And this is the role of a second striker or Raumdeuter, who is a player moving into space, linking the attack with short passes and getting into goal scoring positions. Van de Beek's awareness and subtlety in his passes to play short passes, 1-2s and quick flicks is elite in my opinion. He's phenomenal at being able to be another cog in the attacking play, linking the attack with his elegant flicks and movement, but in order to allow Van de Beek to do this to his full potential, he needs to be playing in an advanced position like he did in the semi-final of the Champions League against Tottenham for Ajax, where his movement was unplayable and his awareness was so good that he was able to play dummy passes perfectly and make movements off of the initial dummy to open up a passing lane straight to the player in behind him, and it was these sharp movements which made his interplay so slick, particularly around the box. I think playing Van de Beek in a deep double pivot reduces the amount of opportunities he has to link the attack in the final third, and therefore reduces the amount of goal scoring and goal creating positions he can get into. There are a few examples of players who have moved deeper into midfield and actually improved. Captain Slip-a-Lot Steven Gerrard was shifted into more of a reduced role under Brendan Rodgers in a diamond midfield with Coutinho and Jordan Henderson either side of him. This worked for Gerrard as he no longer had the athleticism to be a box-to-box midfielder, and sitting deeper allowed him to pick up the ball, dictate the play and use his passing range as a weapon to progress the ball forward. Wayne Rooney tried a similar thing at the back end of Louis van Gaal's reign at United and the start of Mourinho's, with his passing range being the main reason why. However, as England saw at Euro 2016, Rooney was a good long passer in midfield but didn't really offer much else in terms of ball circulation, incisive passing, and defensively he looked extremely vulnerable. So we have seen players who have moved into deeper midfield roles both succeed and fail, but overall, do I think Van de Beek would solve United's midfield issues? Well, I think he would definitely improve United's ball circulation in the middle third, which if you watch my most recent video analysing the West Ham Manchester United game, which will be linked below, you'll know that this has been an issue for United in the opening few games of the season. Van de Beek is definitely a better one-touch and forward passer than both Fred and McTominay, but I don't think he has the elite passing range and vision needed from a deeper line playmaker, as the quick passes and interplay that he excels at are limited when he plays in a deeper role, which why I consider Van de Beek more of a second striker than a playmaker. He definitely doesn't solve United's defensive issues in central midfield, as he isn't a ball-winning central midfielder, despite being a good pressing player in a high press. To get the best out of Van de Beek, I think he has to be deployed in the line behind the forward, so he can take up positions in between the lines and get in and around the box where he's at his best. To me, Van de Beek is very much of a system player and needs to be playing in the second striker role to feature at a top level side, as if he's deployed in a deeper midfield position, of course he can do a job, but he isn't the answer that United need. I may do a video in the future analysing whether a switch to a 4-4-2 diamond or a 4-3-3 could help United in certain games and get the best out of Van de Beek, or a video in which clubs should potentially be interested in Van de Beek if he becomes available. So if you want to see that video, make sure you go and subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you get notified when that video comes out. Give this video a like, put your thoughts in the comment section below. Also go to the description to check out some of my other Manchester United videos as well, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter to keep updated and for more content.